Thank you for joining today's online travel presentation, where we discover the amazing adventures that await on a rail journey on one of Rocky Mountaineer's amazing rail routes. My name is Lynn, and I am pleased to be your moderator today. But before we begin, I'd like to quickly take care of a little housekeeping. First, we will hold all questions until the end. If you have questions during the presentation, please type them in the comment box in the GoToWebinar toolbar. We will cover them at the end of the webinar. And second, there will be 2 polling questions during the presentation, and I encourage you to participate. So let's get started. As I mentioned, I'm Lynn, and I will be your moderator, and I'm pleased to introduce today's presenters, Dawn Rogan, one of Vacations by Rail's product managers, and our very special guest, Michael Como, National Accounts Manager for Rocky Mountaineer. We also have Tracy Girardi here from Rocky Mountaineer, and she's going to assist with any questions about the train, on board and off board, the routes, the destinations, and all of the wonderful things that make Rocky Mountaineer so special. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Dawn and let her kick things off. Let me switch the slide for you too. So take it away, Dawn.
Thanks so much. As Lynn said, my name is Dawn, and I am an independent product manager here with Vacations by Rail. And before we get started, I just want to share a little bit about our company. We're the leading rail vacations company in the United States and the trusted authority on rail with the largest selection of vacations to destinations around the globe. The cornerstone of each itinerary is a rail journey aboard at least one iconic train. Vacations by Rail is a great rail journeys company backed by more than 45 years of experience in the specialty of global rail tours. We are a member of the National Tour Association, the American Bus Association, and we are the preferred rail provider of AARP. In addition to unmatched vacations, we offer best-in-class customer care from your first call or email to the return from your trip. A rail vacation is a great way to get a new perspective on the region through which you're traveling. This is experiential travel at its best. A rail journey with Vacations by Rail offers a distinct and memorable experience with a well-planned itinerary packed with quality inclusions ranging from iconic train journeys in centrally located hotels to comprehensive sightseeing and authentic experiences. And then we'll go back to Lynn for our first polling question.
Thanks, Dawn. Let me go ahead and launch the first poll. And it is, have you taken a vacation on Rocky Mountaineer? So we look forward to finding out the answers. We'll keep this open for about 20 seconds. Okay, looks like everyone has responded, so I'm going to close the poll. And 92% of our attendees have not been on a Rocky Mountaineer vacation. So I think all of you are in the right place to learn more about these really memorable routes and wonderful onboard experiences.
Absolutely. And we're going to go ahead and invite Michael in to give his presentation for the routes and experiences beginning in the Canadian Rockies.
Well, good morning or good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending today. I first want to thank our partners at Vacations by Rail for planning this exciting event. Today's goal is to review all of the Rocky Mountaineer destinations that are offered. We'll talk about the different rail routes, the classes of service, and just the overall experience of the Rocky Mountaineer rail journey. So for over 30 years now, Rocky Mountaineer has taken guests from all over the world on remarkable journeys throughout the Canadian Rockies. As a daylight-only train, we offer spectacular views of the iconic Western Canadian landscape during the day. And then we partner with the best hotels in the areas to ensure a restorative rest each night. So the common question that we do get is, do you sleep on the train? And we do not. We want our guests to see all of this spectacular scenery like you see here in this photo by traveling during the day and staying in a nice hotel in the evening. Just want to give a little bit of history next as I change slides, and here we go. So Rocky Mountaineer 30 years ago started its journey, privately owned company owned by Peter Armstrong. The first train departure in 1990, as you can see here, the trains looked a little bit different back then. Then in 2006, our route family expanded a bit, where we started the Whistler route and then the northerly passage of Rainforest to the Gold Rush. And then we've long had the goal of further expanding our routes outside of Canada, so we could bring this world-class experience to new destinations. And we're going to talk about our newest route later on in the presentation. This next image is Peter Armstrong, our owner and founder, who took a risk 30 years ago in purchasing a set of trains, and the adventure began from there. In the early days, the train cars that we had were essentially typical rail cars, smaller windows, nothing very distinctive from what you'd normally expect from a train car. But Peter's goal was to provide guests with an incomparable luxury rail experience in Western Canada. So fast forward to today, and here you see we have invested in an all-dome fleet. Now our cars are in gold leaf domes and silver leaf domes, which were introduced in 2012. We've invested in more gold leaf domes in the last few years to add to our fleet. And now we operate our trains from April to October, and we become known for our spacious and luxurious coaches with exemplary service, fresh and delicious cuisine, and our engaging hosts, which we'll talk some more about in the coming images here. We're very proud of our rail hosts. Not only are they going to provide the amazing service of drinks and our culinary, delicious culinary service, but they're also going to provide the storytelling and history throughout your journey. You're going to want to learn about the rail history in Canada, the geology, and of course, the wildlife that you'll be spotting along the way. Another thing that we take great pride in at Rocky Mountaineer is our award-winning culinary experience. Freshly prepared meals by our culinary team is what makes the Rocky Mountaineer experience even more luxurious. You can see here one of our delicious dishes that are offered as part of our menu, which I'll get into a little more in a moment. First of all, I want to show you a map of the routes, because oftentimes people want to see visually where they're going to be traveling to, and to determine their route that they're going to travel, I'd like to see a little bit of a map. You'll see in this map, there are white diamonds along the routes. Those white diamonds would indicate where the train stops and overnights, and guests will overnight in a comfortable hotel before boarding the train the next day. The route that travels further north there, the green route, is called the Rainforest to the Gold Rush, which is a 2.5-day route that travels through Whistler up into Quesnel and then to Jasper. Then we have two other routes that travel through the town of Kamloops. That's Journey Through the Clouds and First Passage to the West. Journey Through the Clouds goes from Vancouver to Jasper, and then the First Passage to the West will travel to Banff. I'll do a little more description of the routes themselves in a few minutes, but just wanted to kind of point out the directions and which of these different routes are represented here. They both go east and westbound, so you can travel between the gateways in Alberta back to Vancouver, or from Vancouver into the Rockies. Finally, that sort of green dotted line that you see that goes from Jasper to Banff, then to Calgary, most of that is represented by what they call the Icefields Parkway. It's about 180 miles of national park scenery that really shouldn't be missed. So when you're planning your Rocky Mountaineer vacation with Vacations by Rail, please do ask about the packages that include sightseeing in there between Jasper and Lake Louise, and try to get some time in there to see the spectacular wonders of the Icefields Parkway. I want to talk now about our different classes of service. Rocky Mountaineer in Canada has two different classes, Gold Leaf and Silver Leaf. As you can see by the images, the Gold Leaf dome car has two levels. Upstairs is a very spacious and luxurious dome car section where guests will sit back, relax, and enjoy beverages and snacks throughout the day. When it's time for the dining experience, both breakfast and lunch, guests will make their way down to a dining car down below in the lower level. And as you can see at the back of each of the gold leaf domes, there is an outdoor viewing platform for your outdoor viewing pleasure and taking photos and breathing in that clean mountain air. The Silverleaf service is a custom designed single level dome where guests both sit and are served their meals right at their seat. There are oversized glass dome windows that provide just amazing views of the scenery unfolding outside. So let's dig a little bit further into the different classes of service so you have an idea. And again, these are both very luxurious classes of service. They're just different. So some folks may be more attracted to the more casual but luxurious experience on the Silverleaf dome car. And both Silverleaf and Gold Leaf, Rocky Mountaineer provides complimentary beverages, including wine, beer, spirits, as well as non-alcoholic drinks. The gourmet meals will be plated to your preference and served right at your seat. And throughout the journey, we also have snacks in between meals, so you will definitely not go hungry on board the Rocky Mountaineer as you're traveling from one journey destination to the next. As with both classes, we provide complimentary transfers and baggage handling to your overnight hotel accommodations, so it's a seamless experience and worry-free. And Silverleaf is available on all of our routes, so do consider that, as well as the Gold Leaf, which is certainly our signature class of service. But a little more images on the Silverleaf side. This gives you a sort of a side view and the size of the windows and the section of the dome on the corner of the car itself. And here's an interior view again, just to give you an idea of the spacious interior, the large picture windows, which are almost like large screen TVs to watch the scenery go by. We seat about 54 guests at a maximum in the Silverleaf Dome, and it's very spacious, very long. You have lots of leg room, comfortable bucket seats. As a rule, we typically have 2 hosts on board, as well as a culinary host who prepares the meals for your lunch and breakfast services. Showing some guests here enjoying their lunch service. As you can see, if you like to just sit back, relax, and watch the scenery go by with your fellow traveler, Silverleaf is the way to go. You know, just fold down that large tray, and your host will deliver you a delicious 3-course lunch, as well as a hot breakfast with a couple of choices for each meal. And as you can see, the dessert looks delicious. I know my stomach's starting to growl already. Let's talk about the Gold Leaf service, which is our bi-level dome coach. The Gold Leaf service offers hot a la carte breakfast and lunch served in our lower level dining room. Features a full glass dome at the top level with panoramic views. And at the end of the coach is that exclusive outdoor vestibule viewing platform with outdoor viewing, which is a place you'll often find me. If I'm on the train, I'm most likely going to be out there enjoying that spectacular fresh mountain air in the Canadian Rockies in Western Canada. Here's a great side view and with the spectacular scenery in the background. As you can imagine, the scenery in Western Canada is just jaw-dropping, with these rugged cliffs and carved mountains from the Ice Age has carved out the Rockies and created these spectacular mountain ranges and snow-capped peaks. But here you can see great look at the level of the bi-level dome. You've got the dome at the top and the dining car below, and the guests are out on the viewing platform enjoying the scenery from that perspective. Here's the inside of the Gold Leaf Dome. The seats are very plush, comfortable seats. As you can see, our hosts are providing those delicious glasses of wine to our guests. We usually do like a wine and cheese in the afternoon. And you can see it as well, the dome itself has a UV coating to it, so it protects you from the sun's rays. So we've tried to we try to think of everything you can imagine to make the experience as comfortable and luxurious as possible for our guests. It's a climate-controlled dome car as well. So the culinary experience with Rocky Mountaineer, when guests come down to the dining car down below, we have tables of 4. There's an a la carte menu for both breakfast and lunch. So typically about 4 or 5 choices of entrees. For lunch, it's a 3-course meal, and they do pair up regional wines with your lunch. So it's a very decadent experience. And what's amazing is that every gold leaf dome car has its own culinary team in our kitchen preparing the meals fresh to order. It's just a delicious experience. And every time I travel on the train, our guests are just wowed by the dining experience on both gold leaf and silver leaf. As you can see here, one of our culinary professionals preparing a delicious dish. Looks like a salad with prawns or shrimp. And of course, the outdoor viewing platform. Folks just kind of migrate back and forth out here. They want to take photos of the beautiful scenery, take photos with their travel companions. Just a great place to come out and enjoy the scenery. And then the scenery itself, again, you can see here from these rugged mountain peaks, you're going to be traveling through mountain ranges, valleys. You're going to see spectacular waterfalls, glacier-fed rivers, and you're going to learn a lot. There's a lot of history here, and it's fantastic history of the rail throughout Canada. Really a lot to experience on 2 days. And the scenery and the topography changes dramatically. There's actually a desert-like region in British Columbia, especially as you approach Kamloops. So you can get iconic images like this of the train as it's traveling along the Fraser River and going into parts of British Columbia that are very different, but a lot of folks don't realize are unique. You'll often see wildlife, especially as you're coming along that dry desert-like area. You'll see bighorn sheep up on the cliffs and the rock sides of the train coming into Kamloops. We often see bear and other wildlife as well throughout the journey. I can almost guarantee you'll get some wildlife shots, or at least some views of some wildlife as you're traveling. And of course, lots of folks like to take that iconic shot of the train making a nice big turn with the mountains in the background. Just it's a photographer's dream in this destination. Whether you're on or off the train, you can take photos of many things in the Canadian Rockies and Western Canada. This is a nice image from our Journey Through the Clouds route. The train, we often get the question, how fast does the train go? Well, we typically average about 35 miles per hour, or what we jokingly call Kodak speed. And that's because we want to make sure our guests can take photos of some of the spectacular scenery. And the train will really slow down to a crawl here at Pyramid Falls, which is a great spot for photography. And the Pyramid Falls is just spectacular. So that's one of the iconic spots where we slow down the train on this journey here, Journey Through the Clouds. Another iconic view is that of Mount Robson. This is the highest point in the Canadian Rockies at just under 13,000 feet. You'll get this view as you approach Jasper. As you approach Jasper, you'll see different vantage points of this spectacular snow-capped mountain. Yeah, here we go. So I want to talk about the different routes here in a little more detail. I mentioned the First Passage to the West. First Passage to the West is a route that really is steeped in history. You'll be traveling on the train tracks that were built in the late 1800s to help Canada become connected from east to west. And on this route, you're going to see some of the most rugged scenery because the train tracks were carved right through the mountain range. As a matter of fact, you go through a spiral tunnel, which is an incredible engineering feat, just a couple of hours before we arrive into Banff. So this particular route for history buffs is certainly a must-see, and it's our most popular route. Journey Through the Clouds is also a spectacular route. As you take a journey from Vancouver to Jasper, you'll pass through sweeping valleys with mountain ranges. You'll see beautiful waterfalls, and of course, as I mentioned, that iconic view of Mount Robson. So both of these two routes have the first day is similar between Vancouver and Kamloops, but then they kind of split off in different directions there. We have packages anywhere from 3 days to up to 12, 13 days or longer for all of these itineraries and routes. The other route is the rainforest to the Gold Rush, which I mentioned earlier. This one's quite diverse as we travel from Vancouver through some deciduous rainforest, through the coastline up towards Whistler, overnight in Whistler. So it's a short day where you get some time in Whistler to enjoy some activities there before we take 2 more days going up through Quesnel, where the scenery becomes more dry, canyon-like, gorgeous, and the scenery changes up there. And then as we make our way east into Jasper, the pine forest and the snow-capped mountains, and of course, Mount Robson makes an appearance towards the end of that route. Now, if you're not sure which route to take and you want to combine routes together, my recommendation would be to look at one of our circle journeys. That's a combination of 2 routes together with some touring in the middle throughout that region, typically throughout the Icefields Parkway region between Jasper and Banff and Lake Louise. So we have several packages ranging from about 8 to 13 days for these circle journeys. And certainly if you're looking to do multiple rail days and multiple routes, this is definitely the way to go. Now, a lot of folks have been waiting to take a vacation for the last year and a half or so, saving up their travel money, so you may as well go big if you're going to visit the Canadian Rockies for the first time. So I'm going to hand things over now to Dawn, who's going to talk some more about the vacation packages that are available through Vacations by Rail.
Thanks, Michael. One of our most popular trips through the Canadian Rockies, the 7-day Canadian Rockies featuring Banff and Lake Louise itinerary, travels the first passage to the West Route, which puts Western Canada's gorgeous scenery at every turn. On this journey, we've included 2 nights in Vancouver, along with a hop-on, hop-off tour to get acquainted with this cosmopolitan coastal city, as well as overnights and sightseeing in the Canadian Rockies. Let's take a closer look at some snapshots from the trip, as well as some special highlights. Our journey begins in Vancouver, and as I mentioned, we have a hop-on, hop-off tour included, as well as plenty of time to explore on your own. The sightseeing tour also serves as your transportation around the city as you're transported to more than 30 points of interest across Vancouver, including Granville Island, Robson Street, Gastown, and more. On day 3, you'll board the Rocky Mountaineer for the 2-day all-daylight journey into the Canadian Rockies, arriving in Lake Louise on day 4. Take your evening here as well as the morning of day 5 to enjoy this alpine hamlet. Remember, no visit to this area is complete without a visit to the stunning turquoise waters of Lake Louise with the massive Victoria Glacier looming behind it. The iconic Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise is situated along its shore, and guests who travel on our deluxe level of service on this itinerary enjoy a stay at this amazing hotel. Your journey continues to Banff by way of a scenic coach transfer. In Banff, an arranged sightseeing tour ensures you see the best of the town and its national park, including Cave and Basin National Historic Site, which is home to the hot springs that make Banff famous, as well as a ride on the Banff gondola for the journey to the top of Sulphur Mountain and excellent views. On day 7, you'll transfer to Calgary for your return home. Another one of our very popular trips through the Canadian Rockies features the Journey Through the Clouds route, as well as the first passage to the West Route. So this is one of those circle journeys that Michael mentioned, and it's our 9-day getaway to the Canadian Rockies, making a scenic circle. Along the way, this journey features amazing sights and experiences, stays in the Canadian Rockies resort towns, and Vancouver at the beginning and end of the trip. In addition to the amazing all-daylight journey through the Canadian Rockies on board Rocky Mountaineer, the cornerstone of this trip, highlights of the journey include touring in Yoho and Banff National Parks and a stop at the Columbia Icefield to do the Glacier Skywalk. We'll begin in coastal Vancouver, where you have a night to rest before boarding Rocky Mountaineer towards Kamloops on day 2. After an overnight in Kamloops, you'll reboard the train to enjoy the scenery provided by Mount Robson, Pyramid Falls, and other mountainous sites as the train makes its way to Jasper. From Jasper, travel along the Icefield Parkway to the amazing Columbia Icefield, where you have the chance to board an ice explorer for the journey onto the Athabasca Glacier. A visit to the Glacier Skywalk offers a bird's eye view of the surrounding area, and then you're off to Lake Louise. The next day, tour through Yoho National Park with a stop at stunning Emerald Lake. Continue on to Banff, where touring and a ride on the Banff gondola await. The next days are spent traveling westbound on the Rocky Mountaineer, sampling the first passage to the West Route en route to Vancouver, where your journey will conclude with a one-night stay. The third package we'll be talking about in the Canadian Rockies today features a touch of elegance in Western Canada, and you'll embark on the Canadian Rockies Grand Getaway itinerary featuring 10 days of luxurious highlights as you discover the best of Western Canada via private touring and relax and upsell accommodations, which complement your journey on Rocky Mountaineer in Gold Leaf service as you travel the Rainforest Gold Rush route. Your vacation begins in the beautiful seaside city of Vancouver. Enjoy a private tour of the city on day 2, and on day 3, experience a stunning cruise through the Gulf Islands as you head to Vancouver Island. There you'll have free time to explore the beautiful Butchart Gardens and the city of Victoria. Transfer back to Vancouver by float plane and enjoy views of the Gulf Islands en route. Next, you'll head north into British Columbia aboard the Rocky Mountaineer. Stopping in Whistler midday, you'll enjoy the afternoon and evening at leisure. Day 5 brings you a full day of rail travel as you head for Quesnel. Sit back in your gold leaf seats and relax for your final day of travel on board Rocky Mountaineer as you journey toward the alpine town of Jasper. Here you will enjoy a private tour of Jasper National Park, including a boat cruise and time to explore Malign Canyon, as well as a picnic lunch. Your travels through the Canadian Rockies Your travels continue through the Canadian Rockies with a visit to the Columbia Icefield, and you'll have the chance of a lifetime to enjoy a unique walk on ancient glaciers before arriving in Lake Louise for your final 2 nights. A private transfer to Calgary on your last day concludes your vacation. So those are some of the features that we have in Canada, and now we're going to go back to Michael to experience the new route of the Rockies to the Red Rocks in the United States.
Thank you, Dawn. Those packages are very robust with lots of great included features, so they look fantastic. So this summer, Rocky Mountaineer is very proud to be launching our newest rail route, traveling between Denver and Moab, Utah, over 2 unforgettable days. This route is going to feature awe-inspiring sights of the Colorado Rockies and the remarkable desert rock formations of Moab in the U.S. Now, we're offering this route as a preview season with about 56 departures from August 15th to November 19th of 2021. And then in 2022, we'll offer a full season set for 7 months and then beyond that. So we're super excited about this route. It's going to be quite spectacular. And let's dig in and look at a map of the actual route and the region itself. The red line there will indicate the route itself, which again travels between Moab and Denver and goes both eastbound and westbound. The overnight stay in the little resort town of Glenwood Springs is where you'll be spending a night and sleeping in a nice comfortable bed, much like we do in Canada. So 2 spectacular days of sightseeing along this route. From the mountain passes and dramatic canyons of Colorado, the train will pass through some of the most remote and sparsely populated landscapes over this journey. A lot of this is not accessible by car, so it makes the views incredible. And about 60% of this journey will follow along the mighty Colorado River. You'll see also that there's a green dotted line connecting to both Las Vegas and Salt Lake City. That would kind of indicate those are the major gateways in terms of planning a vacation in this region. And both Vacations by Rail and Rocky Mountaineer have carefully curated packages where you could either tour the region and visit some of the state and national parks throughout Utah, Nevada, and other parts, or you could rent a car and do a rail and drive type of package. So there are many options, many choices, and I'm sure the Vacations by Rail team is ready and waiting to help plan your Rocky Mountaineer vacation to this region, Rockies to the Red Rocks. So let's talk about the route and give it a little more description. It's quite varied. Each day is very different and unique as far as the scenery is concerned. What I want to do is kind of walk through the day by day, starting with a sort of an eastbound from Moab. We do have a special offer, which I'll talk about later, on our eastbound routes, starting from Moab and finishing in Denver. So let's just kind of walk through the day by day and some of the highlights that you'll see along the journey. So on the eastbound route, you'll actually board the train in Moab early afternoon. We'll board the train and depart at about 2 p.m. So that gives you, if you're doing a package, whether you're doing it with a rental car on your own or you're doing it as a planned tour with Vacations by Rail, you can actually have the morning in Moab to do some sightseeing, maybe get to Arches National Park or other areas. And then the day is about 5 hours on the train. We'll be covering about 180 miles of travel and traveling through some spectacular, rugged canyon-like scenery with spectacular views of canyons and mountain ranges that are quite unique. So let's take some shots here of what you're going to see along the way, a few of the highlights, if you will. And this is a picture of Mount Garfield, which is about 6,600 feet above sea level. It's the highest point in the Book Cliffs, which is a series of cliffs that run about 200 miles east and west. And those Book Cliffs are aptly named because they look like stacks of books along this ridge of rugged sort of moonlight canyon scenery. We'll also pass through an area called the Monte La Salle National Forest, with the highest elevation being a mountain peak called Mount Peel at about 13,000 feet. And you'll see red rock scenery, and in some areas you'll see in the background white snow-capped mountain peaks, especially in the spring and the fall. You'll still see snow in the mountains, so it gives us diverse, spectacular scenic views that you'll see traveling through on the train. Here's another image of the Book Cliffs, which gives you an idea of what this scenery is like. A lot of movies have been filmed out here, like sci-fi movies, as you can imagine, because the scenery here is a lot like moonscapes, and quite dramatic and quite unique from what we normally see in the national parks. The second day is a longer day on the train after our overnight in Glenwood Springs, which is a nice little resort town. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. We'll be traveling through some spectacular deep canyons as we travel along the Colorado River. You've got canyons, gorges, and some other highlights to experience on this day. And then we arrive in Denver at about 5 p.m. So we get on the train at about 9, and we arrive in Denver at about 5 p.m. So not your typical 9 to 5 day. This one I would say probably a little more relaxing than what you would consider 9 to 5. So some of the highlights on this route today would be Red Canyon. This particular canyon obviously gets its name from the red rock colors, and it's carved out of sedimentary rock by a creek that runs along the Colorado River, and it's quite spectacular, as you can see. We'll also travel through a canyon called Gore Canyon, which is very steep and rugged. Obviously, you can see how deep it is. As the train passes through, you'll see these canyons hovering above you. And you can see as we start to move from east to west, you'll start to see the pine trees and a little bit more foliage because we're traveling north. I'm traveling higher elevation into the mountains at the base of the Colorado Rockies. Another pretty cool thing that we're going to see along this route is an engineering feat that they call the Big Ten Curve. This is a marvel in mountain railroad surveying. Back in 1902, they built the Big Ten Curve as a way to kind of offset the steep grade of the train tracks coming into the mountains at the foothills of the Rockies. So the train will take this huge curve, and you'll get to experience that firsthand while on board the train. On the Rocky Mountaineers Rocky to the Rail Rocks route, we're going to be offering a Silverleaf service as our class of service. You're probably wondering, what about Gold Leaf? Well, when we did our research for this particular route, we discovered that some of the tunnels and bridges were a little too short for our Gold Leaf domes to make through. So we're going to be sending all of our some of our Silverleaf cars down there to Colorado, and they're on their way now, actually. And this is a great image of the train just before our guest board. This is another nice view of the large picture windows of the Silverleaf Dome cars, and give you a good view of what they look like from the exterior there. Just wanted to put in a few more images of the Rocky Mountaineer Silverleaf cars. You can see again how spacious it is, big windows, and even if you notice there on both Silverleaf and Goldleaf, we've got little power stations in between the seats so you can charge your phones and other devices. So you have plenty of juice to take your photographs there. And again, meals are going to be served seat side. What's unique about this experience, Rockies to the Red Rocks, is our culinary team has come up with a menu that's going to please all palates, but it's going to capture as well the flavors of the Southwest. So we're really working hard to put together a menu that's very unique to the region and give you those flavors of the Southwest as part of your experience. Just like in the Canadian Rockies, in this particular region, we're also going to have our well-trained professional hosts on board the train to provide historical knowledge of the rail in this region, as well as the geological insights and storytelling that you want from an experience to learn. So it's a luxurious experience, but it's also a learning experience with Rocky Mountaineer. Now, we've been asked by many people, do you have an upgrade to the Silverleaf service? So what our team has come up with is, by popular demand, what we call Silverleaf Plus, which is providing our guests with exclusive access to a newly upgraded lounge car. So the Silverleaf car for Silverleaf Plus will be basically adjacent to the lounge car, and our guests can migrate back and forth between their Silverleaf Dome car to a lounge car, which we will have hosts in the lounge car as well as a bartender. In addition to that, access to the lounge car, which is great because you can enjoy another area to view the scenery and sit back and relax and talk to your other travel companions on the journey. But we're also offering upgraded dining experience. So there'll be additional courses on select meals offered with Silverleaf Plus, as well as some signature cocktails and high-end spirits. So it's an elevated experience. Silverleaf Plus ranges as an upgrade between $395 and $495, depending on the departure date and direction that you're traveling. But it's very popular, and those Silverleaf Plus seats are selling out quite quickly. So I want to talk about a few of the destinations on this particular route. The three major hubs of the route itself would be Moab, Glenwood Springs, where we overnight, and then of course the great city of Denver, Colorado. These three very distinct hubs are your beginning and ending and middle points. Moab, of course, very well known for being a sort of the jumping off point to a lot of the national parks in this region. It's known for its red rock formations. It's a gateway to Arches and Canyonlands National Parks. And if you haven't been out to this area, do spend some time, plan a package that gives you time to enjoy these wonderful national parks in the region. You can do anything from more soft adventure, boat tours on the Colorado River, to active adventure like horseback riding and river rafting in this region. There's so much to do in this area. Some of the iconic images of some of the parks in this area. This is a Dead Horse State Park, which is a state park of Utah and features dramatic overlook of the Colorado River there. You can see there's a huge sort of horseshoe-shaped bend of the Colorado River. Just spectacular views right there. How would you want to miss that when you're out in that region? So definitely one of the highlights. Of course, Arches National Park, which lies just north of Moab, and very well-known national park. It's bordered by the Colorado River, and it's known to be the site of more than 2,000 natural sandstone arches. So this, like this arch here, there's about 2,000 of these structures. You can spend quite some time. I would say you could probably dedicate an entire day to seeing some of the sites here in Arches National Park. Then we have Glenwood Springs, which is a beautiful resort town halfway on our journey, which is our overnight stay. What's nice here is that when you pull into the train station, the hotels that we're using in this town are walking distance, just about 5 to 8 minute walk. We do provide a shuttle service if you need one, but most guests will be able to take their small carry-on bag and walk to their hotel. Your luggage will be delivered right to your hotel, so you don't need to worry about carrying your large checked luggage, which is wonderful. Glenwood Springs itself is a town that's steeped in history. It's got a great sort of southwest western feel to it, as you can see by that old western tavern there. The famous Doc Holliday was actually buried in this town. And you can actually go see his gravesite if that's something of interest. The hotels that we use are going to all be very nice quality. Like I said, great location. Hotel Denver, Hotel Colorado, and the Hot Springs Resort are all right in the heart of the city. So if you want to go out and get a drink or a bite to eat in town, you're close walk to everything. It's pretty small, compact little resort town there. Then of course you have Denver, one of America's great cities, the Mile High City, and Denver, Colorado. The train station where we'll arrive and depart from is called Union Station. It's very historic, very spectacular architecture. And the hotels that we use as well are really close walking distance to the train station for your convenience, which is also another great benefit of partnering with Rocky Mountaineer and Vacations by Rail. Just explore the city. When you're in Denver, you can go down to Larimore Square, which is a great little outdoor sort of mall with shops and restaurants and boutiques, bars, and you've got beautiful Victorian architecture there. If you want to get in a little culture, the Denver Art Museum has about 70,000 pieces in its collection. You could spend some time there. It's actually the largest museum between Chicago and California, so you get quite a variety of different types of art if you want to enjoy that. And let's hand it back to Dawn so she can give a little information on some of the great packages that Vacations by Rail has to offer on this route.
Thanks so much, Michael. So the Rockies to the Red Rocks route is the star of our Rocky Mountaineer and Canyonlands National Park vacation, where time in Denver and Moab complement the scenic 2-day journey between each destination. On this 6-day itinerary, we've included 2 nights in Denver and Moab, and of course, the 1 night in Glenwood Springs. We've also included some great experiences in each destination to really enhance the itinerary and offer some authentic regional experiences. The journey kicks off in Denver, where we have a 2-night stay. Sightseeing in Denver takes you through the sights of the foothills, including to Red Rocks Amphitheater. Board Rocky Mountaineer on day 2 for the incredible 2-day journey to Moab with an overnight halfway through in the resort town of Glenwood Springs. The day after arrival in Utah, experience the beauty of the landscape up close with a jet boat tour on the Colorado River and time to explore the town on your own. All of these vacations can be customized to meet your needs and travel goals. They can be taken in reverse. You can add additional hotel nights or sightseeing in select destinations. You can upgrade your experience on the trains, like from Silverleaf to Silverleaf Plus or to Gold Leaf, as we discussed, as well as at hotels and with adding on of private transfers. Ask a Vacations by Rail specialist about customizing your itinerary. And now we're going to go over to Lynn for our second polling question.
Thanks so much, Dawn. Here comes our second polling question, and it is, what Rocky Mountaineer route is most appealing to you? So we'll keep this open for about 30 seconds. I'm watching the replies come in now, so keep at it. All right, it looks like everyone has had a chance to reply, so I'm going to close the poll, but it is close. It looks as though 31% of attendees claim Journey to the Clouds is the most appealing route, but 29% say Rockies to the Red Rocks. So very, very close.
That's great. Very excited to start welcoming back folks to Canada as soon as those borders open up. And in the meantime, we know we can definitely get folks traveling on the brand new Rockies to Red Rocks route, as we know we'll be able to travel in our home country here throughout the summer and fall. If you'd like to learn more about the rail vacations on Rocky Mountaineer or any of our destinations around the globe, you can request one of our brochures by calling 877-929-7245 or by visiting Rocky Mountaineer or by visiting vacationsbyrail.com. We're going to speak a little bit about the health and safety here on Rocky Mountaineer that they've put together. Please keep in mind that things are changing constantly due to COVID. We're committed to delivering world-class service to your clients while ensuring their health and safety. It's our highest priority. As government guidelines and industry best practices continue to evolve around the prevention of COVID-19 and other viruses and illness, Rocky Mountaineer and Vacations by Rail will continue to update and enhance our procedures to strive to be best in class when it comes to health and safety. We will also continue to make our journeys as seamless and easy as we can. All we ask is that travelers do follow our guidelines. So we do on board the Rocky Mountaineer train, they have installed a higher end air filtration system. There is safe personal space as well as personal hygiene items. There will be as government guidelines and industry best practices continue to evolve, we'll continue to update things, but many personal use items, electrostatic disinfectant spray, and thorough sanitation throughout the journey as well as in the destinations. And Michael, did you want to discuss the current promotions with Rocky Mountaineer?
Yeah, I think this might be one of the most exciting parts is that we have several promotions right now for 2021 and 2022 for both of the destinations in Canada and US. So right now for 2021, if you're looking to book Rockies to the Red Rocks package, we've made it very flexible and easy to plan a vacation and be very worry-free. When you make your initial deposit, you can sort of rest easy because the deposit is fully refundable until 30 days prior to departure. And you can also make 2 free date changes. So if something were to come up until 60 days prior to departure, we can allow you to change dates, and then 1 free name change as well. So if one of your travel companions cannot travel, you can change to another guest. So some flexibility there, just because we know that in 2021, as we transition and things start to improve as far as the COVID-19 situation, folks still want to feel that it's important to have that flexibility. In terms of other offers that we have right now, just to review, for the Rockies to the Red Rocks, we've had a great promotion. If you book any package on our eastbound route, and this does expire June 20th, so there's about 2 weeks left on this particular offer. But if you book an eastbound package, so the packages that start in Moab and finish in Denver, there's a $300 USD offer. So do make a plan for that. Certainly our Vacations by Rail team can help you make those arrangements. And again, that refundability of your deposit up to 30 days gives you that worry-free sort of experience there. And then on the Canada side, of course, as Dawn mentioned, with the border being uncertain this season, it's a little tricky to plan a trip for the remainder of this year. Although if you do want to, we can make those arrangements for you. But if you're looking to travel in the future on a Canada program for 2022, right now we have our All Aboard promotion, which is providing 4 free perks if you book a package of 8 days or longer. So the 4 free perks would include 2 additional hotel nights, either pre or post. So if you want to spend extra time in Vancouver or Calgary, for example, you can add on those nights complimentary. We'll also provide 1 airport transfer. So whichever gateway you depart or arrive from, We can provide you with that airport transfer complimentary, and then one dinner at one of the hotels on your tour package. So this is a great offer. It's a great value. And the offer expires August 27th, so you have a little bit more time for planning for that one. But that's going to be the best offer for 2022 for Canada. So I wouldn't wait too long to plan your Canada Rocky Mountaineer vacation.
Thanks, Michael. To make a reservation, you can contact any of our rail specialists toll free at 877-929-7245. You can also book online at vacationsbyrail.com. And now we're going to go ahead and field some of the questions that you've asked throughout the presentation.
Absolutely. Let me get those questions out. Let's see. Well, I think we just need to start at the beginning. Oh gosh, there's a lot. Do you offer, this is for Rocky Mountaineer, Tracy or Michael, do you offer vegetarian or vegan options for food on the train?
Tracy, do you want to handle that one?
Hi, can you guys hear me? Just want to make sure.
Yes.
We can,
Perfect,
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, so we do offer vegan and vegetarian meals on board all of our routes. When you are making a reservation with your Vacations by Rail agent, just let them know that you've got special dietary requirements, and we can have it added to your booking, and our culinary team will make sure that the needs are attended to. We also have a food allergy form that we can send out to you if you have any special allergies, lactose intolerant, gluten-free, celiac. We're able to accommodate all sorts of dietary needs.
Thanks. Here's another one for the train experience. Do you have seating for families of 3 in one row?
Again, I'll defer to Tracy maybe to answer that a little better than myself.
Yep, so the way it works with our seating is that, so on board the train, it's 2 seats and then the aisle, and then 2 seats on the other side. We can request that there's a family, 2 members on one side of the train and then the third on the aisle across. Or if you prefer to have the third person either sitting in front or directly behind, so you're all on the same side, we can accommodate that request for you. Just let your Vacation by Rail agent know what your preference is, and we can add it to the booking, and we'll be able to accommodate that for you. Typically, though, it is 2 on one side and then 1 on the other, but if there's a preference, we can accommodate.
Okay, excellent. We have a couple questions on the onboard experience in regards to the viewing windows. So the first is, are there shades on the windows in case the sun is in the wrong spot?
I could answer that question. We don't really have shades on the windows. The windows themselves do have I may have mentioned in the presentation that we have like a UV coating within the glass, so it cuts down the UV rays, so there isn't that sort of glare from the sun. So I've never really, several times that I've been on the train, I've never really experienced any overwhelming glare, but I would recommend obviously bringing your sunglasses and a hat if the sun does tend to be sensitive for you when you travel.
Great. And then also related to the windows, if the exterior standing area, the viewing platform is full, how is the photography inside through the windows?
The photography is pretty good. I think it depends on the angle and how close you are to the glass. Sometimes you might get a little bit of a reflection, but I've taken a lot of great photos myself from inside the dome, and did not know that it was inside the dome. So certainly it's a matter of sort of like trial and error. Take a few photos and before you get to maybe the more spectacular areas to see how your camera response. And obviously, if you can get on the viewing area, outdoor viewing area, you'll get some unique shots and vantage points of the train as it's traveling too.
Well, that was a great segue, Michael, because that brings us to the next question. How many people can the outdoor viewing platform hold at one time?
Tracy, do you have any numbers on that one? I could answer it, but I might not be as accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to answer. So on this Silverleaf car, it's a bit of smaller outdoor area. It can accommodate about 4 people. And on our Gold Leaf service, depending on which model of car that we're on, we have a couple different models. We can accommodate anywhere from 12 to 16 people out in the Gold Leaf viewing area.
Thank you. When is the best time to take the train to see wildlife?
I can say that I've been on the train in all 3 seasons, spring, summer, and fall, and I've seen wildlife every time. But from what I'm told, and typically because of the nature of wildlife, springtime, sort of late April to early June, you're getting the bears are coming out of hibernation, so they're foraging on the forest floor, and they tend to be feeding on the berries along the train tracks and highways. So you may have a better chance in the springtime or even like fall. You know, our last departures are right around the first, right around like Columbus Day, October 10th, October 8th. You know, in the fall's a nice time as well to capture wildlife, but you'll see certain wildlife any time of the year, but you have a slightly better chance on the beginning of the end of the season.
Okay, great. Similar to wildlife, what are the best months for waterfall viewing?
I would say probably the spring as well, because the springtime, you've got the meltwaters from the all of the several feet of snow that have accumulated over the winter time. So again, that sort of May, early June timeframe, you'll probably be capturing quite a bit of heavy rain, heavy meltwater, and maybe more dynamic river and waterfall experience.
Okay, excellent. A little bit about the dining. Are copies of the menus available in advance of the train ride?
Tracy, do we have a sample menu on our website? Do we not?
That's a great question. So we are still working out the menu for our brand new Rockies to the Red Rocks one, and that will be available for our inside sales team. If there are questions about the menu, you can, your Vacations by Rail consultant can ask our sales team, and they'll be able to send a copy out. The menus typically aren't posted on our rockymountaineer.com website, but it is available should our partners ask or have any specific questions. But we are still waiting for details on the brand new route, but that will be coming hopefully soon. And we are happy to share that out with our trade partners as requested.
Yeah, I could add to that too, because you know, every season, even on our Canada menu, our culinary team updates and changes the menu based on what they saw as popular items and requests we've had. So even if we posted last year's, it wouldn't represent what we're probably going to offer this season. But I can guarantee you that the dishes are well received. I've never had anyone dissatisfied with our dining experience on board the train.
Great. Here's one about the Rockies to the Red Rocks route. Can you talk a little bit about the airport service in Moab? Do you know if it's full jet service or if they only have small regional planes for those eastbound departures, especially?
I can actually fill this one. I was there just recently. So the Moab airport is a full service airport. It is smaller. There, you're not going to have like the big 747s on there, but mainly if you are heading from Moab back east, you'll connect through Denver on a smaller regional plane. If you're heading west, you'll likely connect through Salt Lake City. But it's a small, comfortable airport. It's very simple to use. It's pretty great, and it's just a short flight to either Denver or to Salt Lake from Moab.
Thanks, Dawn.
No problem.
For Rocky Mountaineer, Michael and Tracy, can you talk a little bit about the accessibility of the train cars for those who may have mobility challenges?
Tracy, could you handle that one for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So as part of our booking experience, part of our sales process is just to double check if our guests have any mobility requirements, whether it can be anything from the guest uses a cane or uses a wheelchair or lives in their wheelchair permanently. We have what's also called a mobility request form that we will send out to our trade partners to have the guests complete, just so we can make sure that all of the mobility requirements on board and with our partner hotels are met. We can accommodate guests that require a wheelchair in both of our service levels, so our Gold Leaf and our Silver Leaf. Where it gets to be a little bit more difficult is if a guest cannot move themselves or be moved from their wheelchair to their seat. In that case, if a guest is permanently wheelchair bound, then we can accommodate them in our Silverleaf service, because we can actually remove seats from the car. So we've got room for the tie downs. Otherwise, for our guests that can make their way from their wheelchair to a seat, we can accommodate them in either Silverleaf or our Gold Leaf service. What's great about our Gold Leaf service is that we have the lift that goes between the two levels. So if a guest has issues with stairs, we can put them on the lift to go between the two levels. We also, at all of our stations, we also have a hydraulic lift where a guest who needs a hand getting on and off the train will be able to be lifted hydraulically on board the train. So it's very easy. But we are very well versed in accommodating guests that have any sort of mobility requirements. So we just encourage you to fill out the mobility form with as much information as possible, and we will do our best to make sure you're accommodated on board the train as well. We'll make sure that all of the hotels that we contract for our guests that have mobility challenges will be able to have accessible rooms or equipment in the room that will make their experience an easier one.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We're running over, so we have time for just a couple more. Dawn, what if you don't want to do some excursions after you get off board the train?
All of our trips are fully customizable, depending on the area you are and what is operating at the moment. Due to COVID, we are still seeing some sightseeing restrictions, but if you would like to just spend your time at leisure, either prior to boarding or once disembarking the train, that's absolutely doable, and we can certainly customize the trip for you to remove those sightseeing options or add something that's more to your taste.
Thanks. And we have several questions about single travelers, how they're accommodated, single supplements, and questions related to that. Dawn, can you touch on that?
Absolutely. So we do welcome single guests on any of our trips with Vacations by Rail, either our FIT independent itineraries or our escorted programs. We don't have an exact specific number for a single supplement. It does vary by the particular trip. It is pretty reasonable typically on the Rocky Mountaineer vacations because you're not paying for sleeping accommodations on board the train, which can certainly bulk up that single supplement from time to time. But if you do have specific questions about any of our journeys, please contact one of our rail specialists and they'll be able to get you pricing.
Thanks, Dawn. That's all the time we have for questions. I know there are several more, and a rail specialist will be in touch with you to make sure that those are answered, and that if you have any additional questions, that they can care for it at that time. Any of our rail specialists are available to assist you. So if you have questions after this presentation, you can certainly call them at the toll-free number on your screen, 877-929-7245, or you can email info@vacationsbyrail.com. So I'd like to thank you all for attending. This was a great presentation. I'm going to turn this over to Michael and Dawn one more time for any final words.
Dawn? Would you like to go first?
Sure. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. We will, as Lynn said, get back to any questions that were missed during the webinar. Get ready to travel again. I know I'm certainly ready to get back out there and experience everything that the world has to offer. And like we've mentioned, that Rockies to Red Rocks trip is just rearing to go for this year. Space is filling up fast. So if you do want to travel on the Rocky Mountaineer in 2021, we highly recommend that route. And as always, we are taking bookings for next year in both Canada and in the US. We're ready to go, as I'm sure all of you are as well. Thanks for attending.
Well, Dawn, you said it well, and we are raring to go and excited to get back to everyone traveling. And we want to reiterate the fact that Rocky Mountaineer and Vacations by Rail take health and safety very seriously. So whatever the needs are in the regions we're traveling in, as far as health and safety and protecting our guests, that's very important to us. And taking all those precautions and providing you with that information so that you feel comfortable and relaxed when you're traveling. And we look forward to having you on board. And I want to just say, both Tracy and I really appreciate the partnership we have with Vacations by Rail, which is a great organization, and their very professional team is waiting to help you plan your vacation. So thank you for joining us today.